Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order when you check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Sports Pictorium Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. If he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL helmet poster. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Yesterday Sports on the Sports History Network. It goes without saying that the New York Mets have not had anywhere near the success achieved by their crosstown rival, the New York Yankees. Since their first year in the league, 1962, the Mets have had only 26 winning seasons and 33 losing seasons, and they've reached the postseason in only 9 of their 59 seasons. The Mets have had 6 seasons in which they lost more than 100 games, compared to only 3 seasons in which they won 100 or more games, the last coming back in 1988. The team has made it to the World Series 5 times, winning twice, the last coming in 1986, perhaps their best team ever. As a lifelong Yankees fan, you might assume that I take delight in watching the Mets lose year after year. But that's not true. I've never had any dislike towards the other New York team, and no one rooted for them more than I did in the 1986 World Series when they defeated our arch rival, the Boston Red Sox. Besides that, my wife and her family are Met fans, and I feel some measure of sympathy for them. So rather than bash them and mention all the wrong decisions the organization has made over the years, like trading Nolan Ryan and Tom Seaver, I'm going to focus on their World Series appearances. We'll start with the 1969 team. After 7 dismal seasons in a row, there wasn't much reason to think 1969 would be different for the Mets. Although the team did show some improvement in 1968 with quality pitching staff that included Tom Seaver, Jerry Koosman, Nolan Ryan, and Tug McGraw, they still finished with a losing record. And hope faded quickly at the start of 1969. By May 27th, the Mets were 18-23. But then the team reeled off 11 wins in a row. However, as good as the team was playing, the first-place Chicago Cubs were playing even better. By August 14th, New York sat 10 games behind Chicago. Still, most Met fans felt satisfied that the team would likely finish in second place and have their first winning season in their 8-year history. There would be next year, and 1970 looked promising. But then a miracle happened. The Mets won 24 of their next 32 games, while the Cubs lost 17 of 25. New York finished in first place with a 162 record and would face the Atlanta Braves in the NLCS. The Mets continued their winning ways with a 3-game sweep of the Braves and were now on their way to the World Series, facing the powerful Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore had breezed through the regular season with a 109-53 record and made short work of the Minnesota Twins in the ALCS. The Orioles had 3 future Hall of Fame players on their roster: third baseman Brooks Robinson, outfielder Frank Robinson, and pitcher Jim Palmer. Prognosticators had Baltimore as the heavy favorite, but they underestimated the Mets, who had gone 27-8 in their last 35 games. With great pitching, timely hitting, and some fantastic defensive play, the Mets pulled off an upset, beating the Orioles 4-1. They became known as the Miracle Mets. The next 3 seasons proved to be disappointing, as New York failed to reach the playoffs, finishing 3rd in their division all 3 years. Then, 1973 got off to a tragic start when manager Gil Hodges died of a massive heart attack on Easter Sunday, just 2 days before his 48th birthday. Coach Yogi Berra took over as the new manager. The Mets had added some young proven stars to the team, including John Matlack, Rusty Staub, John Milner, and Felix Millan. But in a season filled with injuries, the Mets found themselves 12 games below 500 by mid-August, with only 44 games left to play. Then, just like they had done in 1969, the team got hot when it counted most, winning 30 of those 44 games. They finished the season with a subpar 82-79 record. But with no other team in their division posting a winning record, it was good enough for first place. Their opponent in the 5-game NLCS would be the Cincinnati Reds, who had finished the season with 99 wins and 63 losses. That record, combined with the fact that they were the defending National League champions, made Cincinnati the heavy favorite. The Reds had so many talented players, including catcher Johnny Bench, infielder Joe Morgan, and outfielders George Foster and Pete Rose. New York produced only 3 hits in the first game and lost 2-1. But once again, the Mets shocked the baseball world by winning 3 of the following 4 games. Now it was on to the World Series to face the defending champion Oakland Athletics. The Mets were the heavy underdog, and with good reason. The team's .509 winning percentage was the lowest of any pennant winner in modern history. Oakland had proven just how good they were by winning 94 games in the regular season and then defeating an outstanding Baltimore Orioles team in 5-game series. They also had won the World Series in 1972. The Athletics had a great pitching staff with starters Jim Catfish Hunter, Vita Blue, and reliever Raleigh Fingers. They also had perhaps the best power hitter in the game, Reggie Jackson. But the amazing Mets were not about to roll over for anyone. They gave the A's all they could handle and led the 7-game series 3-2 after 5 games. In games 4 and 5, the Mets pitching staff held the A's to just 1 run in 18 innings. You gotta believe was the rallying call for the underdog Mets. But in one of the best World Series ever played, Oakland prevailed, winning 4-3, with 2 games going into extra innings. It was a disappointing end for New York, but they could take solace in proving what kind of heart they had. They had brought the defending champions to the brink of defeat, something no one could have predicted. The future looked bright, but a series of bad trades and terrible front office decisions led the Mets down a losing path for the next 10 years. They posted just 2 winning seasons and made 0 playoff appearances. Things finally turned around in 1984 when the team won 90 games and placed second in their division. In 1985, the team posted its second best record in franchise history with 98 wins. Unfortunately, they still finished in second place, as the division-leading St. Louis Cardinals won 101 games. Tune in again next week for Part 2, covering the years 1986 to present.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
We here at the Sports History Network proudly partner with 26 podcasts, all revolving around the history of sports. But did you know that many of our hosts were sports history authors way before they started their shows? It's true. We've got Joe Ziemba, host of When Football Was Football, Joe Zagurski, host of Pro Football in the 1970s, Mark Morthier, host of Yesterday Sports, Tommy Phillips, host of Lombardi Memories, and Scott Adamson, co-host of From the 55-Yard Line. All these authors have many books for you to choose from. To check them out, go to our website at sportshistorynetwork.com/sportshistorybooks. Pick up your copy today. Soundtrack provided by Kevin MacLeod of filmmusic.io.